This is the most brutal freaking Marvel character I've ever seen. Most brutal superhero content I've ever seen on screen. Who is the best Punisher? This is an interesting question that we have to ask, right? I'm not including Dolph Lundgren in this because honestly, he never comes to my mind when I'm asking myself who's the best, okay? It's usually down to 3 actors. This isn't like Batman where you have 7, 8 different actors and we're deciding who's the best. No, it leans down to 3 and we have to ask ourselves why. Because I'm gonna be honest, guys, the best Punisher actor does not necessarily translate into the best Punisher story we've seen on screen. This is the most brutal superhero ever. Dolph Lundgren is my boy. I got nothing against him, all right? But we're going with the real OGs, okay? Starting with Thomas Jane. Thomas Jane, his Punisher film. Cheesy as hell? Sure. Is it a flawed film? Maybe. Is it badass? Yes. It is so badass. It has some of the most iconic scenes, I would say, ever, okay? The fight with the Russian is probably one of the fight scenes I like to watch the most. We have, in this era where we have John Wick, The Raid, all these really fancy action scenes, where all these fight scenes are just beautiful. It's like dance choreography. This one hits different. It's brutal, real. Frank is getting thrown around. He's getting his ass beat. He literally would die if it wasn't for this hot boiling stove of soup that he fucking pours all over the dude's face. It's fucking brutal and it makes you feel like a testosterone fueled man type shit, alright? Harry Heck, the guitar playing assassin, playing a song for Frank in the cafe before telling him, that's a song I'm gonna play at your funeral. We don't see this kind of shit, this bravado in action movies anymore, let alone superhero films, alright? John Travolta was so good in this, bro, as the main villain, the mafioso boss, whatever, Marcus Wright, whatever his name is. How Frank manipulates him into killing 2 people he cares about the most, alright? Manipulating him into thinking his wife and his best friend, his right-hand man, are fucking each other. He finds out that his hand man is like gay, and he uses the homosexuality against him, this guy, to blackmail him into going places and then making it seem like he's actually having an affair with the wife. And then John Travolta ends up killing both of them on his own. See, this is more psychological than pure brute gun violence that Frank is employing. This is one of the few times where we see Punisher actually employing psychological methodology here, okay? Psychological warfare. And then the final death scene. I love the final fight in this. He burns through pretty much Marcus Wright's entire army and then clicks a button, has Marcus Wright dragged across the street from a car while all the cars blow up, burning him alive. It's fucking awesome, guys. This Punisher movie is awesome. I can rewatch this anytime. Alright? I have a couple complaints though. A couple gripes. I don't really like how patriotic the music is. It's very cheesy, over the top, and it's too much. It's like Captain America Steve Rogers more than Frank Castle. Okay? I actually think they did Frank Castle better, because in this he's very stoic to the point where there's nothing to his personality, right? I think they did it much better in the short film Dirty Laundry. Y'all remember this shit? How iconic this short film is? We've seen so many fan films and short films that are really good, but the actors came to... Ron Perlman's in this, for God's sake. And on a $200, $300 budget, they made this shit. Frank Castle kills an entire gang with the bottle of Jack. And they use the Dark Knight music over it. And his personality is so cool, man. And he has the iconic line, you know the difference between justice and punishment? Before he takes a lighter, and he's destroyed an entire gang, and the gang leader, he's fucked him up badly. This is a brutal short film. And he leaks him with alcohol, and then he's about to light him up, but then he says that line, and he leaves it. He just puts it on the ground in front of him. And one of the gang leader's victims, who he just molested in the back, comes and sets him on fire. And Frank doesn't even have to do anything. It's so fucking good, guys. It's so good. This short film is so good. This is arguably the best thing we've ever seen by Punisher on the screen. And it wasn't even made by a big studio with a big budget. Okay? I love this. Alright? Oh, shit. Sorry. I'm just going to skip over him because we're going to get to him later. Now, guys, Jon Bernthal is my guy. He is the definitive Punisher to me. But there's a caveat to that. He's the definitive Punisher to me in season 2 of Daredevil. I think that's the best version of his Frank that we've seen. Not even in his own show. Because his own show, there's some problems I have with that. By the way, how badass is this poster? The marketing material for Daredevil season 2, oh god, it was blessed. Some of the best scenes I've ever seen from Frank Castle as a character come from this season, season 2 of Daredevil. The scene where they're on the rooftop, him and Daredevil battling it out ideologically. You're just one bad day away from being me. The scene where he's in the graveyard. They both have just been finished fucking up the entire Irish mafia, and he's talking about his kids and how he was too tired to put his kids to bed, and they died the next day, right? It's the best scene. It's one of the best superhero scenes I've ever seen because it's just two guys talking. It's real. Now, in the Punisher TV show, just seems to not know who Frank is. It seems to be changing his mind back and forth. Do we want him? He goes from retiring from being Frank to being Frank almost, to retiring to being Frank. Like, it kind of fucks with the character a bit. They repeat arcs. Okay. Now, season 1 has some pacing issues. I don't like Agent Madani at all. She's stupid as hell. But it has probably the most euphoric moment in superhero history is when Daredevil and Fisk are yelling at each other in season 3, at the end of season 3. But the second most euphoric and the most brutal shit the MCU's ever given us is Rollins. He's a great villain because we want him to die so badly. He's torturing Frank. Frank is orgasming while getting tortured. Why? Because to cope with the torture, he's fantasizing about banging his wife. You'll never see this shit in a superhero TV show or movie again, by the way. He fantasizes about fucking his wife while he's getting tortured and beaten up. And Rollins gets off on it. Rollins gets off on other people's being bloodied and violent. He's like a sadist. Okay? Then he says goodbye to his wife in his fantasy, saying, I am home. This is the most real Punisher moment ever. Okay? He gets injected by adrenaline because Rollins is stupid. And then he fucking snaps the wire that whatever is holding onto his hands, right? He snaps it. And then we see him full rage, full adrenaline, Frank Castle, and he proceeds to brutalize Rollins. We've never seen MCU has rarely gotten this violent. He fucks Rollins up, punches him, stabs him multiple times, then takes his thumbs, puts it in his eyes, and we've seen kills where people have put thumbs in eyes. This is the most extended version of that. He sticks them right into his eye sockets and tears apart, and both of them are screaming. Rollins is drowning in his own blood. It is the most brutal shit ever. This is Punisher. Fucking awesome. I loved it. I got a couple problems though. Besides the pacing and the fact that they can't make up their minds on who Frank is, Billy Russo is not handled the best in this. He has a very deep connection with Frank. He pretty much was responsible for having Frank's family killed. He knew about it. And he betrayed him because they were friends. So there's a deeper connection with them. But this ain't the real Jigsaw. He gets fucked up by Frank. He gets destroyed. His face is cut. But Billy the Beauty is supposed to go from Billy the Beauty to the most ugly human being ever. He's supposed to hate Frank because of this. This is Jigsaw? Jigsaw's not supposed to be pretty. This is the most CW move I've ever seen. We need to keep all our actors attractive because we can't have Billy Russo looking like, what the fuck? Come on, bro. I'm supposed to believe that this guy can still... That this guy has trouble getting women? No. In fact, he gets women in this season as well. His psychiatrist falls in love with him because of how beautiful he is. He's got a couple cuts. And I'm supposed to believe this guy hates Frank after what he did to Frank. He knew and set up Frank and his family. And I'm supposed to believe, oh, Frank betrayed me. He should have just come to me after knowing that I killed his family. I didn't, because he has no memory, right, in this? So we're supposed to believe that him being cut up like this is good enough motivation for him to be mad at Frank, right? No, he's pretty boy. And he's placed second fiddle to another villain in season 2 of Punisher. Like, it's kind of ruined, guys. It ruined a bit. I love Punisher as a TV show, but there's just flaws here, okay? And they do the Wolf and Cub storyline where Punisher cares for, like, a surrogate daughter. And, like, it's fine. They have a good back and forth, but this is not Punisher at his best. They don't give us real Punisher until the end. But the show's already over. I wanted to see where this goes. Great scene with him yelling. And he had John Bernthal's yell. His cave scream. That scream, that visceral scream he does is awesome, but like, guys, it's ruined potential in my opinion. The definitive Punisher comes in the most brutal superhero movie of all time. Punisher Warzone. Cheesy? Flawed? Grindhouse almost? Yes. Definitive? Hell yes. This is how Punisher should be. He opens up, the opening scene is him marching into a mansion of the elites, shutting all the lights off, getting the red light out and saying, you're all fucking dead. He nukes them. By the way, this is not a guy who's just a gunslinger. He doesn't just use guns to shoot people in the head and then it's over. No, he snaps an old woman's head off He snaps the old woman's neck off. He takes the leg of a couch and shoves it into a dude's eye socket. He fucking stabs people in the head with knives brutally. Like, bro, this is brutal. This guy doesn't play around, okay? And everything about this movie feels like a comic, like a Punisher comic come to life, okay? Including this guy. He himself, every time I see him, I'm like, this is Frank Castle. He sits on a chair in his lair, which is underground in a sewer somewhere, straight out of a comic book, okay? Most of this is him dealing with the guilt of accidentally killing a police officer, and then him saying, maybe I'll quit, right? So they do that thing, that back and forth, will he be a Punisher, will he not? But he is Punisher in this. He wears the uniform, he is the Punisher, right? And we got to talk about the other characters in this, because this is not just Punisher's film. Detective Soap, funny name, has the most iconic lines. With all due respect, sir, that's bullshit. You Krispy Kreme eating motherfuckers. You have the right to shut the fuck up. God damn it, Castle! Like this guy has the best, funniest lines ever. And bro, I love this actor. Dash, I think his name is, or whatever, something like that. He's such an underrated actor, and I think this might be his best role. He's also an Arrow too. He plays Oliver's stepdad, but he's such a great. We're gonna get to a scene he has with Frank later, by the way. This is Jigsaw, guys. This is as grotesque as Jigsaw's supposed to look. He's not supposed to look like some pretty boy. He's not supposed to look like this. No, he's supposed to look ugly. His own people, his own guards, puke at the sight of him when the wraps are... Oh, there's a scene where the surgery just happens and they take the wraps off his face and you hear the flesh squeaking and cringing against the wraps, and his own security guards are puking, bro. They're like, oh, they can't even look at him. That's what he's supposed to be, because this guy's obsessed with his beauty. From the opening scene, he's looking at himself in the mirror, and his girlfriend next to him tries to touch his hair, and he's like, no, leave me alone. He's obsessed with his beauty. So when we see this, you know what, and also he has a problem with mirrors. He cries when he looks at his own reflection, and his brother breaks all the mirrors for him so he doesn't have to see himself. It's actually kind of sweet, to be honest. I love this version of Jigsaw much more than Billy Russo's in the Punisher show. I like the Billy Rosado more. And let's talk about his brother. This dude is the most menacing, one of the most menacing characters I've ever seen. He's a psychopathic cannibal. That's what he is. He eats a dude in front of us. He rips a kidney out and chews it in front of us. I want my applesauce back. Yummy, yummy in my tummy. Like, this guy's a fucking whack job. But he's awesome. There's not a lot of depth to these villains, but you feel the love they have for each other's brothers, and you understand now why Russo hates Punisher so much. Because Russo is a mafia boss. He doesn't have a personal connection to Frank like they do in the show. He's just a mafia criminal, right? But after what Frank does to him, you can understand why he wants Frank dead. The guy looks ugly as shit. I would become a heroin addict if I looked like that, right? All good. Just a great looking female in this movie. Some eye candy for us, you know. She's a good character too. You know, she plays the wife of the cop that Frank accidentally killed. But yeah, this movie is one of the goriest movies of all time. Disney will never ever come close to this in terms of the violence. They won't even come close to the TV show in terms of the violence, let alone this. This is a falcon punch. This scene I'm showing you is a falcon. He punches a hole in a dude's face, literally. Okay, he blows multiple people into pieces, not just their heads off, into pieces. He shoots a missile at this dude doing acrobatics in the sky, and it blows them into pieces, right? And meanwhile, you have these two freaks that are murdering everyone. Okay, Billy Rosado snapping people's necks off, and then his brother's eating people. Like, bro. Him and the detective, I told you there was a scene. Him and the detective have a fight that's very reminiscent to me of the fight in They Live with my boy Keith. Their fight is awesome. It's on the street. It just keeps going and going. You think Frank has him because Frank is obviously the superior fighter, but then the detective just starts pulling out moves like no tomorrow. It's really funny to watch, okay? And there's a scene where basically Billy Rosado, Jigsaw, has all the gangs come at Frank, and it's Frank versus everyone, and it's awesome. Frank, the raid style, goes up a building shooting everybody. It's fucking awesome. This is what we want in a Punisher story, okay? And him and the cannibal have a fight, and it's awesome to see their distinct fighting styles. The Punisher is more of like a straight up brawler, right? Who uses his physical strength and precision striking. With this guy is an acrobatic animal who starts biting and shit, and it plays dirty, and it's fucking awesome, okay? And then the final fight is satisfying as shit. Billy Rosado gets his ass beat, gets stabbed and set on fire, and the cannibal gets shot. But honestly, this is one of the few superhero movies where not everyone walks away clean. It's not a happy tie in a bow ending. Micro gets killed. His best friend, his co-worker, his second-hand guy, Frank's, gets shot in the fucking head. Now, do we care about Micro that much in this? No. There's not a lot of character development there, but it's established that they are friends, and he gets killed. I like that. I like that this movie had some balls, at least, to kill off somebody, right? Because the family is alive, the kid and the mother, but they don't do a wolf and cub storyline, right? It's just him trying to save a family, right? So this movie is a definitive Punisher story on screen. It's the most brutal, violent, Marvel-related movie I think I've ever seen, ever. I don't think there's anyone that comes close to this in terms of gore, at least. And the kills are brutal. So guys, this is it. Disney will never do this. They'll never come close to this. If Punisher does have a TV show with John Bernthal, I at least want the level of violence to be retained, okay? So, guys, that's my stance on this. There's one superhero TV show that has the most euphoric scene I've seen in a superhero show. Right here. Check out this video.